Okay, so today we're diving into a pretty stark warning about the US and Iran, coming from the perspective of the YouTube channel Hakika TV. We're going to break down their take on a conflict they say is right on the edge of boiling over. We're talking direct threats, nuclear standoffs, and a situation where it looks like neither side is willing to be the first to blink.
It all kicks off with this number, 40,000. Now, according to the source, this isn't just some random statistic. It's the number of U.S. soldiers that a top American official publicly warned are now sitting directly in Iran's crosshairs. And that single warning, right there, sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold.
And here's the quote itself. The way the source presents this isn't as some future possibility, but as a current, really dangerous reality. It's framed as an official admission from the U.S. that, right now, its 40,000 troops are vulnerable, that they're already potential targets.
All right, so let's dig into this inciting incident. According to the source, this statement wasn't just an expression of concern. It was the official trigger for a much more aggressive stance from the United States.
And here's the crucial point the source makes. This isn't just about playing defense. This concern for 40,000 troops is allegedly being used to justify a preemptive attack. You know, the idea of hitting Iran before it has a chance to strike first.
So this idea of a first strike, it signals a massive shift in strategy, right? It's a move from a defensive posture to one that is very clearly on the offense.
The source claims the U.S. feels like its back is against the wall and it's getting its forces ready to make the first move. This sets up a direct confrontation, for sure, but as we're about to see, this is met with an equally direct and escalating response from Iran.
So how does Iran respond to all this? Well, the source breaks down a series of counterthreats that escalate dramatically. We're moving from the conventional battlefield to a whole other level.
At first, it looks like a classic tit-for-tat military threat. The U.S. talks about a targeted strike, and Iran's response is basically, go ahead, and we'll unleash total war, a full-scale attack from all fronts. But then the threats take a really sharp turn.
And this is where things get personal and, frankly, unconventional. The source claims that in response to threats against its leadership, Iran fired back by directly targeting the then-president's massive business empire. Suddenly, everything from Trump Tower to his properties around the globe were on the table as potential targets.
But what's really driving all of this? What's the core issue here? The source argues it all comes down to a fundamental and seemingly non-negotiable disagreement over nuclear weapons in the region.
So, the video lays out Iran's specific offer, which they call equal terms. And it sounds pretty simple, right? The proposal is for a completely nuclear-free Middle East. The catch? Everyone has to give up their nuclear capabilities at the exact same time. No exceptions.
The source outlines this proposal in 3 distinct steps. First, Israel has to dismantle its nuclear program. Second, the entire Middle East becomes a verified nuclear-free zone. And then, and only after those 2 things happen, Iran will reduce its own program to 0. But this offer is presented as a complete non-starter for one very big reason.
And that reason comes down to this number, 90. According to the source, that's the alleged number of nuclear warheads held by Israel, and its refusal to even acknowledge or dismantle this arsenal is painted as the primary obstacle to any kind of regional deal, and what they see as the central hypocrisy fueling this entire conflict.
So, with diplomacy apparently at a dead end, we now zoom out to look at the other key players on this geopolitical chessboard and where they all stand, according to this source.
This breakdown really shows you the complex and very divided dynamics in the region. While the source positions the U.S. and Israel as pushing for an attack, and Iran as ready for war, it also highlights a critical split. Key U.S. allies in the Arab world, along with Turkey, are reportedly urging caution. They're calling for negotiation, not conflict.
From Iran's perspective, as presented here, they are completely cornered, and they believe that backing down now would be even worse than fighting. In fact, the source claims Iran's leadership sees this as a golden opportunity to finally confront both the U.S. and Israel. And this defiant stance is fueled by what they see as blatant hypocrisy.
And the source points to this budget comparison as Exhibit A. It highlights how the U.S. criticizes Iran's defense spending, while at the same time proposing this enormous budget for itself. This disparity is used to frame the American criticism as completely disingenuous.
So ultimately, the source leaves us with this provocative and kind of chilling question. It paints a picture of 2 powers on a collision course, each one convinced that retreat is just not an option.
From this perspective, the question isn't if a conflict will happen, but when.